Hello, hello, hello. This is Gouda.Murder, a podcast about sharp kills and cheesy thrills. Listen in on a group of gals talking true crime and all things cheese.
Hey, CheeseBags, it's your Gouda gal Coda, and I'm here at Mi Casa, or as Keely calls it, the Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Yes.
And we're down a Gouda gal today.
Damn.
Some scheduling misunderstanding. Kelly. She abandoned us and took her cheese with her.
I know.
What a hoe. We got M&Ms and Trulies, though, so we're still sitting pretty.
Absolutely.
And you will still hear from Kelly, possibly, maybe. She might splice herself in here when we do our cheese break.
She better.
Yeah, she better. We'll just use that charcuterie board as a weapon. I'm just kidding. We don't.
You gotta take a picture of that.
That paddle. I mean, I saw the handle sticking out of your backpack. I'm like, what is she bringing with her? She's into some freaky shit.
An ass whooping.
S-S-S-N. Okay.
All right, Rihanna.
It's Rihanna.
What the fuck ever.
All right, I'm just gonna jump into my story.
I'm ready.
We are in Maine.
Where?
Maine, USA.
All right.
The
Absolutely.
state of Maine, where the lobsters are fresh, and I still don't eat them because I don't like seafood.
You're a pansy.
I did have some fish down in the Gulf, and it was actually pretty good.
Oh, weird.
I was shocked.
Weird.
I really liked it. I'm still not going to eat lobster, though.
Didn't you eat some at your bachelorette trip?
Calamari.
Okay.
I know I'm weird. I will eat that sometimes.
Picky ass.
I know. Calamari is like rubbery if you get it wrong. Anyway, don't ask me questions.
I'm not.
Don't tell me what I know, Travis. My story is a cold case.
Damn it.
True crime cold case from 1954.
I love and hate when you do that.
Why?
Because
You just need an answer?
Yeah, sometimes I lay awake and I go, what if Coda solved the Deborah Lee Atrams case?
I don't think I did, but...
Not the point. But I was like, what if Coda can solve this one too?
I mean, I would love to do that.
As you should. Continue on, queen.
Okay. We are in Gray, Maine. And we are talking about a 12-year-old boy named Daniel Kenneth Wood Jr. And it's actually kind of his birthday, 'tis the season, October 30th, 1941.
Okay.
So he was almost a Halloween baby.
Damn. Daniel,
or Junior, as he was called by his family, was one of 5 children. There's not much background on his family.
Okay.
I do know he was second oldest. He was 12 when this case happened. He had an older sister who was 14, and I believe the youngest was 3, from what I read. Like, he had a little sibling.
Okay.
According to Maine State Police, on July 7th, 1954, 12-year-old Daniel left his home in Gray, Maine, to go fishing with a buddy who lived maybe a mile down the road. He took his pole and his gear and he headed out. Later that day, Daniel called home to tell his mother he decided to not go fishing that day. He wanted to go work. A door-to-door salesman offered him the opportunity to earn some cash.
That's already sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I mean, back in the day, that was pretty norm, so...
Right.
All right.
But Mama was still worried about it.
Out,
Yeah,
absolutely.
she strongly discouraged him from going with the stranger. And he's like, it's all right, Mom. I'll be careful. I'll see you later. Like, I'll be back home later. Daniel never came home.
Now I'm pissed at the son. Not victim blaming, but...
Like, listen to your mother.
That's what I mean.
It would be the longest 9 days of their life before Daniel Wood Jr.'s parents would receive the worst news any parents can hear. That their son had been found dead. His body was fished out of the Androscoggin River in Auburn, Maine.
How far away is that from Gray?
I'll tell you after Kelly does her spliced in cheese break.
Good evening, cheesy listeners. This is your girl Kelly with my spliced in cheese bite. Ooh, I could do, it's called my cheese slice, my cheese splice. Ooh, that's perfect. Girls, that's what they're called now, cheese splices. And I'm quite honestly, listening to this hostility, one scheduling error, and I'm already being threatened with charcuterie board paddle beatings. Getting all hyped up on M&Ms and Truly's, ladies, over at the Mojo Dojo Casa of Coda. I think I'm a little safer hanging out in the comforts of my own bedroom with my wine and cheese. Haha, so suck it. No, just kidding. We are in Maine, as Coda so lovingly has introduced us to. Gray, Maine. Gray area. Also, back up. Seafood, you in Maine. Coda. You don't like lobster? What is that life? No lobster, but, calamari. Okay, let's not have one of the most delicious seafoods ever, but then eat the rubbery fried stuff that I also like, but also the rubbery fried stuff, like, that makes a whole lot of sense. Not. Calling some shade, calling some shit out. I don't care, because I'm, safe over here and away from the paddleboard. Anyway, going into our Maine cheese, our Mainer cheese, for our Mainers, lovers, such as myself, I just can't get over it. I can't get over it, you guys. They're not Manians. A good one would be the Maniacs, because you're crazy for Maine. Anybody? I think that's hilarious. I'm going to catchphrase that all good. The Maniacs, the Mainer Maniacs. I love it. Anyway, getting back to this cheese that we're going to be eating, or that I'm going to be eating. The girls over there have M&Ms and Trulies, so who's winning now? Was it a scheduling error? I don't know. Actually, it was. I'm terrible. I have a goldfish brain. I'm basically Dory from Finding Nemo, and I'm really trying hard not to be. Anyhoozle. So tonight we are listening to some scary ghost adventures, stories of Maine, and eating some Maine cheese. Or I'm eating some Maine cheese. Previously, I enjoyed some cheese and wine, and now I'm going to be enjoying some cheese pairing with this Mainer cheese, which the cheese that I have this evening is called Waldo Smog. You heard me right. Waldo Smog. Who's Waldo? I don't know. And why is he naming his cheese Smog? Who knows? But I'm loving it. Just kidding. Actually, no, I do love it, but just kidding on the smog part. It is a heat-treated cheese made from cow's milk, which contains a layer of ash. So it's heat-treated, which it's just a type of processing. Look it up. It's quite delicious. And this cow's milk cheese actually has a similar taste to a goat's milk, which I find very enjoyable and satisfying. Waldo's smog cheese also ripens from the outside in, which results in a cheese that has like this surrounding but pungent and like lightly runny shell. The smog cheese that I have today, obviously wasn't the full wheel or wasn't the full hunk, so the runny outside is lacking. However, I can agree that the smell of this cheese, because it is, again, it's a cow's milk cheese. However, it does have some goat milk qualities, such as a distinct, I don't want to say pungent. Pungent seems rude. It seems like, something that you call, oh, that man's pits is pungent or pungent. It sounds negative, but whereas, knowing that it just means like a strong smell, I would agree. This cheese is delicious, but does have a distinct, tangy, pungent, aroma, as one would say, and it pairs well with white wine, which we previously went over, but it also pairs well with a food that I did not look up or think it would pair well with. So I most recently, not anything to do with Maine or cheese or Maine, recently, because it is fall. What do you do in the fall, kids? You go to the pumpkin patch, you go to the apple orchard, and you get apple orchard pumpkin patch snacks. So that's what I have tonight. So I have my cheese, my Maine squeeze, but then I also have these really yummy caramel corn pops. Caramel corn pops. Don't ask me how they're made, because I have no idea, but they remind me of this like little puff popped. What do these remind me of? If you ever had like the puff popped popcorn like in the store, or not like the cheese balls or it's cheese balls, but it's kind of like that texture, kind of like a cheese ball texture. Yeah, but it's I'm assuming it's some sort of like fried corn meal, whatever, puff pop. But it's coated in caramel, which I'm very excited about because I love caramel and caramel is delicious. So I have this unique little puff pop treat and it's very crunchy. Listen to this. Very delicious. It's like eating like puffy caramel corn. I love it. Who wouldn't? And I thought it would be kind of cool because it has like this sweetness, this very, caramely, salty sweetness to it already. I figured, hey, what if it goes well with this Waldo smog? Let's try it out. And you know what, kids? I did, and it's freaking delicious. So that's what I'm doing. I'm eating cheese with caramel popcorn, essentially, and it's really good. I never thought, well, I wouldn't say I'd never thought, but I wouldn't immediately think this would be a good pairing. However, in all my cheese wisdom and cheese search and cheese adventures and that we've gone through in Gouda, I found out unlikely pairs make good pairs. Haha. Like pears and cheese, or, the good old reliable apples and cheese. You would think I would get apples and cheese growing into an apple orchard. Nah, can't do that. That's the obvious choice. We got this caramel corn and cheese. As I'm eating it, it's quite delicious. So the cheese itself is like a white, firm cheese. It's aged long. It's a longer, I mean, say moderately longer aged cheese. So it does have a firmness to it. Almost a crumbliness. I would say a mix between like a really sharp aged cheddar. Because it still has that moisture, still has a softness to it. However, it does kind of like, just by like pressing on it, kind of crumbles. It is white, and again, like I said, it has more of like a blue, I wouldn't say blue cheese, but more of like a goat's milk cheese bite, which is really good. But pairing it well with these popcorn, this caramelness, is really good. So you get like the bite from the cheese and the sweet and saltiness from the caramel pop thing that I'm eating, and it's so good. It's so good. Okay, listen to this bite. Listen to this bite. It's like this creamy, salty, sweet thing. Like almost like, like it makes me think of like when people bite into creme brulee. Granted, I've never had creme brulee, but like the crunch of this pop makes me think I'm crunching down creme brulee and I'm like eating this warm, delicious, gooey, cheesy bite middle in it. That's the best way I can describe it. It's so good. Maine is well known, again, for its cheeses, which, who would have thought? Mainers, you Maine cheese, Maine squeezes, is well known for chevre. I always get this wrong. Chevre. You would think, being the cheese expert on this podcast, that I would know how to say words. Think again. I don't. So they're really well known for their chevre and cheddar cheeses, alongside unique cheeses whipped up by individual farms, such as the Fuzzy Udder Creamery, which makes the Waldo Smog. It's delicious. Maine is also home for is home to more than 80 licensed cheesemakers. The Cheese Mainers, the Maynard Cheesemakers. I could go on. I'm really enjoying this snack. Again, if you guys haven't tried the Waldo Smog or similar, what in my cheese search is a Cypress Grove Humboldt Fog, another fun cheese name that I highly suggest one would look for and try it out with some popcorn, some caramel corn. It doesn't have to be these these little caramel corn pops. However, caramel corn, I bet like a Chicago mix, or even like a spicy popcorn with a bite of cheese. Ooh, we'll have to try that out, kids. Well, anyway, not to get too far along and get back to Coda's story, I'm going to keep snacking and I'm going to keep listening. Hope you guys stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kelly. That was fabulous in our minds.
I'm emotionally stuffed.
That sounded so dirty.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
You were asking me how far Auburn was from Gray, where
Yes.
he lived?
Yep.
Okay. So, assuming traffic wasn't as heavy in 1954 as it would be today, a car ride from Gray to Auburn would have been about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Today, it's from 18 to 24 minutes, depending on traffic. But a walk from Gray to Auburn would take almost 5 hours. So, I don't know if he hitched a ride up there or if he went fishing and some guy was like, hey, come sell some stuff and make money with me, and give him a ride. A news article from July 27th, 1954, which I found an image of the article on findagrave.com, but it didn't tell me what newspaper it came from. I did link the findagrave.com in there, though, so people can go see the article.
Okay.
So a news article from July 27th stated police had gotten a promising lead in Daniel's disappearance. A Lewiston state trooper, which is 15 minutes north of Auburn, car ride, another 40-minute walk north.
Okay.
Lewiston state trooper and several residents identified Daniel as a boy who had tried to sell needles at their home.
Needles?
I'm not sure what kind of needles.
Like,
I don't know, knitting needles, crochet needles. I don't know. It just said needles.
You want to do some drugs, kid?
You know, get on your insulin.
Have you seen those signs that say, like, we buy insulin?
Yeah, I have.
Insulin for cash.
I believe it, though. Insulin's expensive, and if they don't have insurance.
Yeah. Insulin needles for cash?
I don't know. You never know. You can just go to the health department and say you need some clean ones.
They even do that with, like, active users, too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's what I was referring to. I was just trying to be discreet.
Sorry.
But yeah, if it's just to keep them from spreading disease until they're clean, I guess, like sober. Any hoozles. He was trying to sell needles at these folks' homes, and so it was reported that Lewiston trooper's name was Camille Carrier. I don't know if Camille was a man's name back then or if this was a female trooper, but I don't know. Were women officers in 54?
I'll look it up.
Okay. But Camille Carrier reported, I'm satisfied in my own mind. This is a quote from the article. I'm satisfied in my own mind that the wood boy was in Lewiston yesterday. End quote. Lewiston is another 40-minute walk from Auburn. This would mean Daniel left early that morning and walked the whole way, like took half of his day to walk, or he hitched a ride. But nothing I found states what time of day he called his mom, because he calls his mom, right? Yeah. And says, I'm going to go work with this door-to-door salesman.
Sorry, did you say 1954?
Yes.
Women could be police officers.
Uh-huh.
That started in 1944. The first formal police course for women opened.
Ooh, so this Camille sounds like a woman's name to me. So
could be. Okay, sorry, continue.
So, anywho's, this article also stated that Daniel, he called home the Thursday before, which would be July 22nd. So that article agrees that July 22nd was the day Daniel disappeared, but that doesn't agree with the information Maine State Police posted on Facebook in 2020. So they made a post, kind of like, you know how the police around the area will like post on Facebook, like so-and-so went missing. If you know anything, we're still looking. The family still needs to know.
Yep.
They did the same thing a couple years ago, and they posted that he went missing July 7th. So I don't know if it was just like a lapse of, I didn't, I remember the 7 instead of 27. Or somebody didn't do their research correctly before they posted. I don't know who was in charge.
Yeah, okay.
But from here out, I'm just going to go with the dates that the articles say, because I'm assuming those were printed back then.
Yeah.
So that article from July 27th also stated that a West Hartford, Connecticut woman reported Daniel had tried to sell magazines at her door that same day.
Needles and magazines. An interesting...
But this is in Connecticut. Okay, so, and
Sorry.
after having a drink of water, he left looking disappointed that she hadn't bought any magazines. Lewiston, Maine to West Hartford, Connecticut is a 3.5 hour drive south.
Okay.
And it literally goes Lewiston, Auburn, Gray, down into Connecticut. Like, that's the path it would have today. I don't know what the roads were like back then, but
assuming that it hasn't changed, then
if the interstates are somewhat similar, yeah. Daniel wasn't walking that in one day by any means. So if he had truly been the boy at that woman's door in Connecticut, he would have had to been driven back to Lewiston/Auburn before his death or right after to be disposed of. But for him to be found in the river in Auburn, let's say they did say that he was in the water too long to like tell whether his wounds were before pre or post mortem. So I'm guessing he was just like dropped in the water in Lewiston and went downstream and got hung up in Auburn, and that's where they found him.
Yeah.
He was found July 31st in the Androscoggin River, which, okay, there's 4 days.
Yeah.
If he was dropped, he made it downriver. That kind of lines up. So if he could have been in Connecticut, that could have been the boy.
Yeah.
And he just got brought back. So maybe I'll give my opinion on what happened. He was not clothed. He had a shoelace tightly tied around one wrist, showing that he was either tied up during
at some point
or after his death to be moved. He had several bruises and cuts on his body, and his head was badly damaged. So the consensus was that he had been beaten to death.
Yeah.
There are still no suspects today, and Daniel's parents passed without knowing who took their son away. So they never found out. So if you have any information in the disappearance and murder of Daniel Kenneth Wood Jr., you can call Maine State Police Major Crimes Unit South at 207-624-7076, extension 9, or go to their website, www.maine.gov. But I'm thinking, like, obviously they don't know who the door-to-door salesman was, but I'm thinking it was that guy, whoever it was.
Yep.
Like, pissed that this kid didn't make him any money. Or he was just, like, out to kill somebody anyway. Was like, I'm gonna pick up this kid and tell him I'm gonna let him make some money, and then I'm just gonna off him.
Or do you think that he tried to convince the kid to, why don't you occupy the owners of this house while I break in? And little boy said, no, that's wrong. He said, well, now you already know my plot, my ploy.
Ooh.
And then offed him.
That's another way to think about it.
Trying to think of, like, I don't remember what that movie's called. Kind of something similar happened, but they were handcuffed instead. It's like a 90s movie. I'll figure it out. I'll post it in the comments of the episode.
But yeah, so my opinion is that he went to work for this guy, didn't sell what he was supposed to sell, pissed the guy off, or maybe the guy was like, I need you to keep working for me, and he's like, no, I gotta go home.
Yeah.
Because that woman who in Connecticut also did say that he was dressed really well. So I don't know if the guy dressed him or paid for him to get new clothes, and then was like, okay, you didn't earn anything, and I wasted my money and time on you.
Yeah, that would make sense too. Trying to pimp this kid out. Yeah,
right. Somebody originally, and I don't remember which website I read it or which article I read it in, but I have all the things that I read linked, mentioned a sexual assault, but they said because he was in the water, there was no...
They couldn't prove it.
Yeah, they couldn't prove it.
And DNA at that time wasn't super strong either, especially...
No. It would be one of those cases of, if they thought about it, they would have saved something, and then it would have to be retested later.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
I mean, even if they did have the DNA at that time, it's really hard. Even now, getting DNA off of a body found in water.
Yeah.
So just.
And you don't know if was he in the water
The whole time?
those 4 days? Was he in the water more than that? Because that woman saw somebody else, because the boy she saw was selling something else.
Yeah.
Could have been completely different.
Yeah. And again, that was fairly common, door-to-door salesman at that time. I mean, before cell phones.
Absolutely.
I mean, home phones were a thing, but...
Yeah, landlines were all they had. But they know he was in... Or I think they believed Lewiston... Not only was he seen in Lewiston, because I do believe he was the boy who was selling needles.
Yeah.
But Lewiston was supposed to be like this busy hub, so that's where they would have found a phone, like a payphone, or borrowed a gas station landline or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my story. Cold case again. So if anybody has any info, please let us know.
So are you going to go down another rabbit hole? And
there's really no more rabbit holes to go through. They did mention there was like a serial killer on the loose, but that person worked out of Michigan. And then there was another one that they mentioned, but that one would have only been like 7 years old at the time. Too young to be.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not too young, but I highly doubt a 7-year-old could take a 12-year-old.
You never know. What's that? That redheaded kid.
Chucky?
No. No, it's a case that it was like a younger boy was following one of the neighbor kids home and offed him, hit him in like the woods, and then helped search for him.
Oh no.
And he confessed to...
Did we cover that?
No.
We haven't done that one?
No.
I have not heard of that one. The only thing I can think of is the Slender Man story.
No, the Pale Monitor. That was...